Welcome in. It is day 320 and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be going over a big game that is one of probably the only of its type I legitimately enjoy. The game is one that we played a bunch about 4 years ago and was just such a joy at the time. I haven't had a chance to play it since, but it is high priority on my replay list. The game is called Wasteland Express Delivery Service. Now, in this game, it's a post-apocalyptic setting, which is already an IP that I don't normally play. And it's a pick up and deliver game, primarily, which is another type of game I don't often play. So the idea of the game is simple, yet there's a lot of it when it comes to the simpleness. You're going to have a 4x4 grid, and on this grid, you're going to have 3 different major colored trucks. These are going to be filled already with some items at the start of the game. This is your starting point. You also are going to have your own truck, which is going to go out on the board, and you're going to be able to customize this truck. You can put on new wheels. You can affect it in ways that help its defense, its offense, its speed, how much it can hold. Then you're also going to have the ability to go in and collect the items themselves. Oil, water, bullets, because you're trying to have the ability to drive your car, drink water to survive, have bullets to fight. These are the main resources of the game. In the game, your main setup is that you're going to have a bunch of different possible objectives. You're going to shuffle these and 3 are going to be put out, and those are going to be for everybody on the board. Then everybody has ways of getting their own personal objectives. The game is played until somebody has completed 3 total objectives, at which point they just win the game. Now these objectives have all sorts of different tasks. You may have one that tells you you need to go and raid a certain spot on the board. You might have one that says when you have so much money, you're going to have something. Or the first person who delivers certain items from pocket A to pocket C will get something. Once you do one of the ones in the center, you're going to place one of your 3 character standees on it, representing that you've done that objective. When you do that, it doesn't finish the objective though. Other players can still go and do that objective, but for fewer points. They're going to have fewer things helping them as a result. Now, I don't mean points meaning experience points as much as you're probably going to get paid out some money or some kind of a reward for doing it. And the first person to do so is going to get the biggest reward. So you're trying to go through and get more and more of these rewards to help you so as to move on to the next objective. First one to complete all 3 is done. There's a lot more to the game than this, but this is a large game that can drastically change from one game to the next based on the type of objectives that are available. So I don't want to dive too deep into the game. I just want to go to our 7 categories and let's see where this one really lands. When it comes to the art, this game is fabulous. The box grabbed my eye immediately. When we had this set up for the first time, it was a game that I was like, I know I'm going to have a good time. And I don't usually think of that for post-apocalyptic. It's not my style, but this one for some reason just talked to me. It wanted me to play. And I've played it multiple times and I never get bored of it. That art really sold me on a winning game. Thumbs up. Your components. So the components are primarily going to be plastic. Plastic for all your different resources. You also have some cardboard for upgrades to things for your car. You have your cards, which are going to be used for what are your objectives that you're going for, or who is it that you're going to be driving as, what character card. So there's a bunch of pieces here. There's other decks of cards that could potentially be included. It all depends on the objective as to which decks might come into the game. But all these components are really top notch. Thumbs up. Price. The game's not cheap. $60, maybe even $70. And it's not found easily these days. I've only seen this on occasion. It's probably in 1 or 2 out of every 5 board game stores. It's online, but again, it's not cheap. And it's not one I ever see in a basic... It's never in Barnes & Noble. It's never in Target. You're never going to see it in a Walmart. It's out there. It's available, but it's very pricey. And while I really enjoy the game, I acknowledge there's a lot of price for a game that's a lot of setup, a lot of pack up, takes a while to play, and not everybody's going to love it. For me, unfortunately, it's a thumbs down. Your difficulty. Wipe out all your kids, all your beginners. They're out. There is no option for them. This is too big of a game. This is really good for your experienced, and it's really good for your experts. I think the difficulty, unfortunately, though, hits in a way of that setup. Difficulty has to include being able to get it to the game board and putting it out there. This game requires a lot of setup. And I think you are going to lose a lot of your experienced players who just aren't willing to commit to an hour of setup and pack up. So for me, even though I like the game, thumbs down. Replayability, it suffers from that same situation that the difficulty suffers with. That setup makes this difficult to want to put out. Yes, you're going to get it set up, but with that hour of setup time and then at least 2 hours of play, that's 3 hours of commitment. For me, that's too much time. I think that a replayability takes away from 2 in the same day, and it's unlikely somebody's going to want to recommit to this again in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So you're hoping that you have enough people that like the game that you're going to be able to play this game maybe once every couple months. I don't think you're going to hit as often as you think. Thumbs down. Keys to victory. There's so many different ways to have a key to victory here. You have obviously what your 3 objectives are, as well as your own personal objective and possibly additional objectives you could get. However, you could prepare for all these objectives by just making sure to go after a particular ploy to maybe increase your overall strength, maybe increase the resources you have available to you, your money. To do this, you just want to make sure you're paying attention enough to what you have for options for, all right, well, if I know I want to get resources and money this game, and I look at my objectives and one of them is first person to get to 25 money and then you have to pay it out, do I need that money for other things? Maybe I'm going to ignore that objective completely. Or maybe I'm going to commit to a money-making scheme so that I can get that objective really quick, and then once it's done, moves on to the next one. I know that when it comes to that money, whoever the first person is to get to it, the next person has to pay 5 more, so getting in there quick can be really good, because if you're playing a 5-player game, that 5th player is going to be paying, if you paid 10 for the first person, 15, 20, 25, 30 for that last person. It's a lot of money. So I think there are lots of keys to victory here. It's just about being able to adjust as you see not only what is available for objectives, but what your opponents are doing. Thumbs up. Is the game unique? It is unique. I don't think I've seen an objective game like this before, with the ability of upgrading, of having fighting, of being able to do a pick up and deliver. It's a very unique setup, especially with its IP. I've never seen a game that I've enjoyed that has this whole, Wasteland setup, this survival setup in it. So for me, it is unique. Thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? I think this is a really good game, but it's not one I'm going to be putting out there very often. I think that while I like the game, I don't own it because I acknowledge the fact that this is hard to get to the table. And until you know for sure that you can get a game of this size, this price, this big clog to your board game collection wall, I just don't want to do this until I know I have a few people committed and the time to play. Well, it has been day 320, and we've been speaking about the game Wasteland Express Delivery Service. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. And don't be afraid to jump on Board Game Arena, where you can find me under the Meeples Champion. Send me over a friend request, a game request. I try to be on a couple times a day. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.